Namaste everyone. Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. This is Kushalmehra. Today's podcast is on the Tirupati Laddu Controversy. So a few days ago, the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Chandrababu Naidu, had made a few comments about adulteration being there in the prasadam of the Tirupati temple, and this report was the first report that I came across in mainstream media. This was Times Now that had shared this. So this is Annexure 1, lab reference number AB023655, sample name ghee, table 1, S values for sample, and the S value equation for its suspect adulterants as per ISO 176782019. If people wondering why I end up reading when it is displayed on the screen, is because this podcast goes in the audio format also. That's why. So as per the S value calculation, foreign fat was found, and it included soybean, sunflower, olive, rapeseed, linseed, wheat germ, maize germ, cottonseed, fish oil, coconut and palm kernel fat, palm oil and beef tallow, lard total. Now this is all that could have been found before somebody says ye sab mila. It could have been found, and then the report goes ahead and mentions what are the details of it. That this is one of the reports that we had come across. Then I want to share another report which was there, and this was shared, I think, by Rahul Shivshankar had shared this bit. Let me pull it up, ladies and gentlemen. And pardon me. Yeah, so this one was 3654 and not 3655. This is 3654 again. This one was lab sample reference number AB023654 of the ghee, and this was also tested. So there were different reports that were tested, and they found adulteration in the sample, and it led to obviously a righteous outrage amongst the Hindu community. Any Hindu, vegetarian or non-vegetarian, is not the issue here. Any Hindu that will see this level of adulteration or the news of this level of adulteration will be outraged. I have been following the news after this with a lot of keenness, and then that it was just, I did not want to discuss this prematurely, so I waited. And I waited and I waited and I waited, and then I reached out to Tushar, and today's podcast, well, Tushar and me both, we were discussing how do we place something, a discussion on this, because there are so many things that have come out on this. So here's what Tushar and I are going to do today. Rather than giving our opinions, and I'm speaking for Tushar too, we're going to share a lot of data to begin with in the beginning of this session. So it's going to have speeches from Chandrababu Naidu, speeches from Pawan Kalyan, just small media bites that they have been giving. And I want to play all those facts in the beginning. And I know Tushar will have to wait, and you will be like, "Saha, tumne guest ko bula ke usko bolne nahi diya." But it's very important to put all this in the first 10 minutes of the discussion itself, so that everybody gets a context of all these things have been shared in the public domain. And then after that, we will start talking about everything that has happened. So one of the comments that I hear Chandrababu Naidu making was this, that I heard, where he said, when Sonia Gandhi, Abdul Kalam signed affidavits saying they are believers of Lord Venkateshwara to Tirumala, why didn't Jagan do it during the Prasad controversy? Basically, he's saying Jagan is a Christian, that's why he's not signing it. This is Chandrababu Naidu saying that.
మీరు ఎప్పుడు కూడా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాల్సింది, సోనియా గాంధీ వచ్చి అఫిడవిట్ ఇచ్చారు, నాకు దేవుని పైన నమ్మకం, దర్శనం చేసుకుంటానని. అబ్దుల్ కలాం ప్రెసిడెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా ఒక అఫిడవిట్ ఇచ్చాడు, నేను వెంకటేశ్వర స్వామి పైన నమ్మకం ఉంటుంది, నేను దర్శనం చేసుకుంటాను. వాళ్ళకంటే గొప్పోళ్ళ మీరు? ఎందుకు ఇవ్వలేదండి? ప్రతి ఒక్క దేవాలయానికి కొన్ని ఇవి ఉంటాయి, సాంప్రదాయాలు ఉంటాయి, కొన్ని ట్రెడిషన్స్, ఆచారాలు ఉంటాయి.
So the implication of the allegation here is, because Jagan is a Christian, that's why he did not pledge allegiance to Lord Venkateshwara, as per Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, the current chief minister. Now, this is one of the accusations that have been hurled. Now, obviously, it has been dismissed by the camp of the other side. Then the people who don't like Chandrababu Naidu, they shared this clip of Chandrababu Naidu. Let me play the clip and I will tell you what the clip means, the translation later on. This clip was shared.
కొంతమంది పోతారు అయ్యప్ప స్వామి దగ్గరికి, ఈ 40 రోజులు ఏమి తాగకూడదు, నిష్టగా ఉండాలి అంటే 40 days కన్జంప్షన్ తగ్గిపోయింది,
ఇప్పుడు ఎక్కడ కొట్టాలరా నిన్ను?
So this is obviously the people from the Jagan camp that are responding to the Chandrababu Naidu camp. The translation is, people go to Sabrimala wearing Ayyappa Mala. They don't consume alcohol during those 40 days. Our state liquor sale is declining because of these Sabrimala rituals. This is what the chief minister is joking. This is Chandrababu Naidu, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Cārvāka podcast. I spare no one. I have gone through every single record of all these people. So yeah, this is Chandrababu Naidu making the comment. And it's fascinating what is happening. All these people, and then obviously there was Pawan Kalyanji. Now Pawan Kalyanji was asked why are you blaming Jagan? So he had this to say. This was PTI, and Pawan Kalyanji has come into the picture. Then he says, we are not blaming Jagan, and why do you bring the PM in it?
There's a need for to drag PM Honorable Prime Minister into this. Very simply, he being an ex-home chief minister, he could have just said, yes, go ahead. Who are the perpetrators or culprits? Let them get punished. That's it. Why there is no need for him to defend? See, we are not blaming him. Under the board constituted by you, they had done this. Under their supervision, this had happened. And for that, what simple thing is, he has to let the system, whatever the new government came and whatever they're doing, and let it happen, let it go through. That's it. There is no need to defend. If he's very clean in his heart, there is no need to do all these dramas. That's what I feel.
So Chandrababu Naidu has come up with announced SIT to who will be investigating the issue. What is it? Is it the right?
I think for me, the day before, when a lot of thoughts, requests came, why don't you leave it to CBI? I said, every state has its own capable police system and special investigation teams. If one is not happy with the findings, even they can go to CBI. But as on now, we are so committed. We're not going to hide anything. We're not going to defend anybody. Whatever happened, I think I'll let it come through the special investigation, which is headed by an IG rank official, quite experienced. I think CM has decided, Sri Vengar decided, let it be. So I think there's no need to question about. There's no need to have doubts about.
So it's very interesting. He says the PM does not need to be dragged. He clearly says this is something that the states have to figure out. It is a state subject. And he was not really happy about the CBI investigation also. He was like, oh, the state should take care of this. And then there was this back and forth between some folks in Tamil Nadu and him. And apparently there is a Southern Indian actor, Karthi. And he made Karthik, and he was asked this question, and he has later on apologized to Pawan Kalyan. The politics of Southern India is so fascinating for a Northern Indian or a Western Maharashtra boy, Western Indian. It is fascinating how these people do their politics. Listen, I mean, I'm playing all these clips for the benefit of the Cārvāka podcast viewers and listeners, is because you don't have to do the hard yards. मैं जा के लोगों को पढ़ के सुन के घाट का पानी पी के निकाल के क्यों ला रहा हूँ ये सब? I want you guys to understand कि ये हो रहा क्या है, मतलब ये लोग कर क्या रहे हैं. इसके लिए मैंने आउटरीच के टाइम पे क्लिक बटोरने के लिए ये डिस्कशन नहीं किया. मैं रुका रहा, मैंने बोला इन सब को लेने दो और इन सबके कमेंट्स आने दो, एक साथ इन सबके कमेंट्स पढ़ूंगा. It is fascinating what these people do. Now look at this clip, huh? So they Karthi or Pawan Kalyan war. Ye dekho.
Function kuda chusanu.
Laddu kavala naina.
They asked him a laddu question.
ఇప్పుడు లడ్డు గురించి మాట్లాడకూడదు.
So he's
Sensitive
like,
topic. మనకొద్దు అది.
I don't want to comment on the laddu bit. It's a sensitive
Laddu
topic.
is a sensitive issue. Don't you ever say that. Don't you ever dare to say that, please. I respect you as actors, but when it comes to Sanatana Dharma, please, you have to think 100 times before you saying a word. One comment. Thank you.
Fascinating, right? Now, all he said was the laddu topic is sensitive. I don't want to talk about it. He pounces on him, and he's like, "Arre, nahi, nahi." And Karthi apologized officially on Twitter. I'm really
Yes.
sorry. Please don't do. And now this clip, like Pawan Kalyan ji is really, he's going hammer and tongs on this issue. So he's even done a purification ritual and everything. So now listen to this.
మౌనం దాటి పొగరుగా మాట్లాడటం, నన్ను పచ్చి బూతులు తిట్టినా, నన్ను వక్రీకరించినా,
I'll
నన్ను
translate.
రోడ్డు మీదకి లాగిన నేను ఎప్పుడు మౌనంగానే ఉన్నా. కానీ వైసీపీని నాయకులు విమర్శించే నాయకులు ప్రత్యేకంగా చెప్తున్నాం, సనాతన ధర్మాన్ని జోలికి రాకండి. తప్పు జరిగితే తప్పు జరిగిందని ఒప్పుకోండి, లేదా మాకు సంబంధం లేదని చెప్పండి. అంతేగాని మళ్ళీ అడ్డగోలుగా మాట్లాడితే ఎవ్వరం క్షమించం. ఇక్కడ మీరు కూడా హిందువులే. పొన్నవోలు సుధాకర్ రెడ్డి గారు, మీరు హిందువులే. నోటికొచ్చినట్టు మాట్లాడకండి. తమాషాలుగా ఉందా మీకు? సరదాలుగా ఉన్నాయా? మొన్నటికి మొన్న ప్రకాష్ రాజ్ గారు మాట్లాడారు.
So he also made a jibe at Prakash Raj. Prakash Raj is Muppet. So the long story is, they have insulted me or dragged me on the road. I have remained silent, but I will not leave anyone who insults my Sanatan Dharma. This is another comment. Now, Palki Sharma Upadhyay yesterday did a 4-minute clip. I'm just sharing a very short bit of that clip. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any anger, go take it out on Palki Sharma Upadhyay. I am just sharing all bits of information with you. All bits of information. This is what Palki Sharma Upadhyay says.
We're bringing you the facts. First of all, was animal fat used to make laddus in Tirupati? The answer is no, and we are not the ones saying it. The temple authorities themselves are. The ghee in question was delivered by a Tamil Nadu dairy. They shipped 10 containers to Tirupati. Four of these containers were rejected by the temple. Why? Because they failed the quality test. Afterwards, these failed samples were sent to a lab, and that lab report is now going viral. So let me repeat, the adulterated ghee was not used to make the laddus. It was rejected by the temple. So the second question, these ghee shipments were delivered in the month of July when Jagan Reddy was not chief minister. Chandrababu Naidu had taken over, so it's too early to start assigning blame. Is there a political angle to this? Chandrababu Naidu has used religion in the past to attack Jagan Reddy. You see, Jagan Mohan Reddy is a Christian. In 2021, he called Jagan a Christian CM. Could this laddu claim be an extension of that politics?
Again, this is not me. This is Palki Sharma Upadhyay, who has opined. Whatever, man. You guys want to take your anger out, go take it out on Palki Sharma Upadhyay. And now, at the end of it all, I'm going to share 2 more clips. And I'm really sorry, Tushar, it is taking so much time. But there is a reason why I'm sharing all this information. It is very important that people know what is happening. And now this, so Mr. JP Nadda was asked on September 20th on the Tirupati Prasadam Raw 5 days ago. Okay, 5 days ago. Mr. JP Nadda is the current interim president because that's what he is right now.
And the Health Minister of India.
Health Minister of India. This is the question that was asked to Shri JP Nadda, and this is what JP Nadda ji had said in the press conference.
होगा कि तिरुमला प्रसादम में कुछ अडल्ट्रेशन पाई गई है। सर, इसका संज्ञान लेते हुए एफएसएसएआई और स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय की तरफ से क्या कदम लिए जा रहे हैं, और क्या आगे चल के आप जो ऑडिट्स हैं इस तरीके की कोई एक्शन टेकिंग प्लान आप ले रहे हैं क्या?
आज ही मैंने चंद्रबाबू नायडू जी से, जैसे ये असल में ये खबर डिजिटल मीडिया के माध्यम से आई है और कुछ जगह पर रिपोर्ट हुआ है, तो जैसे ही ये खबर मुझे मिली मैंने चंद्रबाबू नायडू जी से बात की, उनसे मैंने डिटेल उसकी ली है और मैंने उनको कहा है कि आप तुरंत एक जो आपके पास अवेलेबल रिपोर्ट है वो रिपोर्ट आप मुझे भेज दें। उस रिपोर्ट को मैं एग्जामिन भी करूंगा, स्टेट रेगुलेटर से भी बातचीत करूंगा उनका क्या कहना है उसको भी जानूंगा। उस जो रिपोर्ट है जिस सोर्स से आई है उस रिपोर्ट को पूरी तहकीकात करके उसके सारे पहलुओं को ध्यान में रख करके सूटेबल एक्शन विल बी टेकन अकॉर्डिंगली। जो भी कानून के दायरे में और जो भी हमारी नियमावली फूड सेफ्टी स्टैंडर्ड्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया के तहत आती है उसके तहत हम इस पर कार्रवाई करेंगे। लेकिन अभी हमने रिपोर्ट मंगवाई है। I will examine it. My FSSI is going to examine. They are going to give report, and then we will take action.
277.
A lot of people had outraged on the fact that he said that it is going to be examined under the food safety parameter. We will take on all these points, but there is one last clip, and इस पे मतलब देखो हमारे ऐसा होता है कि जब चीजें होती है ना तो हर आदमी आ जाता है, कूद लेता है और मतलब करता है। तो हमारे भाई मैं मुंबई कर हूं तो हमारे मुंबई वाले सदा सरवणकर शिवसेना लीडर हैं, चेयरमैन हैं श्री सिद्धिविनायक गणपति टेम्पल ट्रस्ट के, तो वो भी आ गए, उन्होंने भी बोल दिया, उन्होंने सिद्धिविनायक के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बोल दिया। एंड मतलब हर आदमी आ रहा है और अपना ओपिनियन दे रहा है, अभी हर चीज में अपना ओपिनियन दिया जा रहा है। तो वो कहते हैं, उन्होंने सिद्धिविनायक को भी इसमें मिक्स कर दिया कि हम तो देखो बहुत अच्छे हैं। तो ये उन्होंने कहा है।
यहाँ जो गणेश जी का प्रसाद तैयार हो रहा है वो जगह बहुत क्लीन नीट और वो नीट रखने के लिए हम बहुत कोशिश करते हैं। ये प्रसाद जो बनाया जाता है उसमें घी, काजू, जो चीज़ हम लोग वापरते वो हर चीज़ मुंबई महानगर पालिका का जो लैब है वो लैब में टेस्टिंग के लिए भेजते, वहाँ से ओके आने के बाद ही यूज किया जाता है। पानी तक हम लोग लैब में टेस्ट करते। इसका मतलब यही है कि जो प्रसाद हम लोग भक्तगण को दे रहे वो बहुत शुद्ध देना, ये तरफ हमारा पूरा ध्यान रहता है। पिछले 2 दिन से एक वीडियो वायरल हो रहा है, वो वीडियो में ऐसे कुछ प्लास्टिक में बंद हुआ कोई चीज़ दिख रहा है, वो कहाँ का है क्या है वो आज तो नहीं समझ रहा है। हम लोग उसका जांच कर रहे हैं। ऐसी कोई भी चीज़ वहाँ नहीं दिखेगी या नहीं रहेगी, इसलिए कि हम लोग बहुत नीट क्लीन रखने का कोशिश करते हैं। और इसलिए हम लोग आज तो यही बोलेंगे कि भाई ये यहाँ का है ही नहीं, क्योंकि उसका पूरा जांच करके हमको ये पता चला है कि कोई प्लास्टिक पिशवी में अगर रख के इस ढंग से अगर कुछ कहाँ भी फोटो निकाला होगा तो इस तरह का ये क्लिप दिख रही है आज।
बेसिकली हुआ क्या था मालूम है, जस्ट टू गिव यू गाइस कॉन्टेक्स्ट, एक वीडियो निकली थी महाराष्ट्र हमारे व्हाट्सएप में जहाँ पे सिद्धिविनायक के भी प्रसाद के बारे में फिर ये निकला था, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दे हैड कम एंड given this clarification. Now, Tushar, I have given you a gamut of opinions from the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah. There are so many facts that have been kept on the table. The first 15 minutes of this podcast was just sharing information. Now, what do?
We give a disclaimer. Number one, I'm a fan of Pawan Kalyan's conviction at this point. And this has nothing to do with the stance he's taken in the last few days, nothing at all. I've been enjoying the edits his team has been making on YouTube, you know, with the entire car rally that started the night Naidu was arrested and how he went to his residence, things like that. Number two, it was a wise decision, Kushal, to present all the facts because this is a matter of faith for millions and millions of people who will be listening to this, watching this. So it's important we do not impose our opinion on you. It's a very wise call that you took today. It's not a manifesto where we can unabashedly present our opinion. It's a matter of deep faith, something that impacts millions of Hindus irrespective of their political ideology, rather 1 billion Hindus, number two. Number three, my problem, Kushal, is people are waking up to this news because of the whole animal fat issue. They are not focused on adulteration. Let's be very clear about it. They are focused, oh, there is adulteration, but with animal fat, which could be beef. Now I have a problem. That's wrong.
Adulteration पे outrage क्यों नहीं है?
क्योंकि उसमें तो फिर कितने मंदिरों के बाहर कितना कुछ मिलता है प्रसाद के नाम पर, जो चढ़ाया जाता है, खरीदा जाता है। आपको नहीं पता उसकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का। सो नंबर 3, all the free temple advocates, and I've written about it on my Twitter as well, on a very long thread where I, with all respect, put them some important questions. I said, adulteration because of beef fat, that's sacrilege. But why is adulteration not sacrilege for you? Number 3.
It is sacrilege. That's exactly what I'm saying. आपको बीफ की क्यों जरूरत है आउटरीच करने के लिए?
अगर कोई, जैसे अभी वेज नॉन वेज में क्या फर्क होता है ना, जैसे आई ग्रो अप इन अ जैन फैमिली, सो आई विल गिव यू सम कंटेक्स्ट। बर्तनों का बहुत वहम होता है, जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना, यूटेंसिल्स, दे नीड टू बी सेपरेटेड। What is sold outside temples, no disrespect to the ones who are doing that selling or manufacturing or preparing it, we don't know the kind of quality test they go through, if there is even a quality test, but I've never seen any movement towards
तुषार, कुछ quality test नहीं होता है.
What it took people to take attention, not that a lot of people have really outside social media, at least in the North Indian states, even for that matter, not as many as I would have preferred, to be honest. Adulteration due to beef fat, now we are going to outrage. Now we are all over television. We are going to tell you that the government is bad and that the center government is bad, not the state government. ठीक है? तो ये 4 disclaimer, और last disclaimer, whatever Kushal and I talked today, we want to ignite a discussion around this topic. We don't want to give a final word that is the final word for you. बिकॉज ये ऐसी चीज है, ये नहीं कि इलेक्शन के बाद खत्म हो जाएगी या कल कोई नया डॉक्यूमेंट हो जाएगा तो इसकी शेल्फ लाइफ नहीं है। ये जो हम आज बात कर रहे हैं, आज से 5 साल बाद भी रेलेवेंट होगी। टेम्पल्स आर फ्री और नॉट फ्री, 10 साल बाद भी होगी, 15 साल बाद भी होगी। सो प्लीज draw your own conclusions, but at least start having this conversation amongst your friends, families, peers, relatives, whatever. But Kushal, again, a very wise call to present all the facts. And एक जो रिपोर्ट आई ना, जो पलकी शर्मा जिसपे अपना व्याख्या दे रही थी, what she was talking about, it also says that the TDD, the board, had written to the government that they were also short on testing equipment, that they couldn't test enough samples, and that the price that was being offered to them for the ghee was anywhere between 300 to 400 rupees per kilo.
वहीं पे रेड अलार्म्स क्यों नहीं आए? 600-700 की चीज तुमको 300 में मिल रही है।
और जो मार्केट में 600-700 रुपए का किलो का घी मिलता है ना, मैं कंपनी का नाम नहीं ले रहा, पर जो भी मिलता है, जो भी आप खरीदते हो, आपकी मम्मी, आपकी दादी, आपके माता पिता या आपके दादा जो बचपन से अपना घी बनाते हैं, उन्होंने देखा है, वो आपको कह देंगे भाई इससे अच्छा घी तो घर में बनता है। वो 600-700 रुपए का पैकेज्ड घी मिलता है, यहाँ पर एक मंदिर को 300-400 रुपए किलो पर घी मिल रहा था। How did it not raise, doubts amongst the board? I don't know. So this is also part of that report, which I think Palki Sharma was elaborating on.
You know what broke my heart in this entire process was, one of the occasions where I actually followed my rule of 72 hours, kuch nahi bolunga. I waited for more facts to come out, and it really helped me. I just wrote one tweet, what the hell, to the Times Now thing which said beef. When it is so disappointing. It is a commentary on the Hindu community. This row is a commentary on the Hindu community and the Hindu society, where आपको बीफ डालना पड़ता है एक चीज में। मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ बीफ है कि नहीं है, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि आपका खून तभी खौलता है जब आपके खाने में बीफ होता है, कि आपके भगवान को चढ़ाए हुए, और ये एक नास्तिक निरीश्वरवादी बोल रहा है, आपके भगवान को चढ़ाए हुए प्रसाद में नॉर्मल अडल्ट्रेशन हो रही है, उससे आपका खून नहीं खौलता है। आपका खून तब खौलता है जब बीफ या सुअर होता है। अरे आप कौन हो यार? आप कौन हो? आपके अंदर तो झांको ना, खुद तो झांको अपने आप को। दिस इज मोर ऑफ अ कमेंट्री नॉट ऑन द पॉलिटिशियंस बट ऑन द हिंदू सोसाइटी इटसेल्फ। अरे हमारे मंदिर, हमारे समाज को अगर हम ही नहीं केयर करते हैं कि हमारे भगवान को जो खाना दिया जा रहा है वो साला अडल्ट्रेटेड है। अरे मैं मेरे दोस्त से मैं उसका नाम नहीं लूंगा क्योंकि वो बेचारे के पीछे लोग पड़ जाएंगे ट्विटर पे। उसने मेरे को फोन पे बोलता है यार पहला अलार्म बेल होना चाहिए कि 600 से 700 रुपए केजी की घी अगर तुम 300 में ले रहे हो तो तुम्हारा पूरा तो उसमें ही डिंग डोंग हुआ पड़ा है यार।
एंड अभी कोई बोलेगा अरे नहीं होलसेल में ऐसा रेट लग जाता है, नहीं ऐसे नहीं लगता है,
नहीं लगता है।
दिस इज क्वालिटी इशू। बट अगेन कुशल, दैट्स द पार्ट, वी हैव बीन हैविंग दिस कन्वर्सेशन ऑन टेंपल्स फॉर द लास्ट 10 years now, probably more aggressively since 2019. एंड उसके भी बहुत नुआंसेस हैं, बहुत फैक्टर्स हैं, वो करेंगे अपन डिस्कस. बट अभी कोई रिपोर्ट आ रखी थी कि इस रिपोर्ट के आने के बाद भी लाखों लड्डू बिके हैं, दैट इज अ कमेंट्री ऑन द हिंदू सोसाइटी एज वेल. माय प्रॉब्लम इज टुडे इट्स अ टेंपल, वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट टेंपल्स ऑफ इंडिया, नंबर 1 तिरुपति, ठीक है. नंबर 2
साउथ से नॉर्थ लोग जाते हैं उधर.
मैं कह रहा हूं आज ये एक छोटे से एक सोसाइटी के मंदिर में हुआ होता, ये तब भी उतना ही अनएक्सेप्टेबल था. पहले तो ये चीज क्लियर कर लेते हैं अपन, ठीक है.
Yes.
It is not about the magnitude or the, you know, the scale of the temple here or the kind of divinity it has around it. No, it is about the Hindu society at large and how its temples are at the risk of being contaminated through such practices. हमें नहीं पता कोई क्या सामान लेकर अंदर आते. कोई I have a very, you know, where I am right now, there is a very big temple nearby, a very famous temple. I have gone there often. There is ample security, but there are no security checks as to what people are getting and what they're getting not. So isn't it time that we use this incident, this episode, as a serious discussion that how do we want to envision our temples for the future?
It just, you know what this entire episode has done. Do I see divinity? No, but I still am a culturally attached person to my society. I care deeply for my society. I have never done these things. Like क्या society है यार? Food adulteration अपने भगवान के उसमें.
यार आप दूध में मिलावट करते हो, पानी मिलाते हो, आपकी सब्जियां मतलब बेकार क्वालिटी की इंपोर्ट हो जाती हैं या रह जाती है देश में, अच्छा क्वालिटी एक्सपोर्ट हो जाता है. I get all of that. I get all of that. It's a part of capitalism. I get all of that.
ये member ने जो मेरे लिखा है ना, ये सच है. The fact that Hindus are so chill about their God being abused with substandard offerings makes me think Hindus have no actual bhakti, just performance art. ये fact है. Anand Sridhar is right.
Yeah, absolutely. यार मैं कहता हूँ लड्डू भी ना हो, गुड़ हो, सूखा गुड़ हो, पर सही हो. ये मेरे बारे में नहीं है, ये आपके बारे में नहीं है, ये प्रो लेफ्ट प्रो राइट के बारे में नहीं है. मंदिर तो रहेंगे ना भाई. मंदिर तब भी थे जब वी वर अंडर इस्लामिक इन्वेजन्स. मंदिर तब भी थे व्हेन वी वर अंडर ब्रिटिश राज. हाँ,
फेथ सनातन है.
टेम्पल्स आर फॉरएवर.
Yeah.
The Vaishno Devi Mandir was before me and it will be for centuries after me. Infinity. It was, you know, always there. So we have to look beyond our own narrow prisms. तभी मैं कह रहा हूं आज जो हम बात कर रहे हैं इससे आप और बात करिए. ये फाइनल पॉइंट नहीं है, ये फाइनल पॉइंट होगा ही नहीं. बट अगेन, if this has happened in a small temple, Kushal, you and I both know, would it have made to the national news?
कुछ नहीं.
कितने सोसाइटी के कितने मंदिर होते हैं, इधर उधर से खबरें आती हैं, जो हुंडी होती है, जो दान पेटी होती है, उसमें चोरी हो जाती है. अखबार तक क्या पुलिस तक नहीं बात पहुंचती? कुछ नहीं होता. Our temples are abused in so many ways, but we are fixated on our narrow prism. We are not talking about the longevity of a temple centuries after us. एक तो चीज we take for granted is that the temples were there for centuries before us. That fact we take for granted. But when we discuss the temple management or the temple control, we look at it at such a narrow prism. Oh, there is a government in the center. Oh, there is a government in the state. Oh, the 5-year cycle. Oh, the 10-year cycle. Oh, what is to be done before the next election. I'm sorry, that is not how you're going to envision your temples for the upcoming generations in a world that is totally different from what it was 100 years ago. And I'm talking about the world here. I'm not even talking about the country. Our country was very different until 100 years ago. It was probably the peak of the British Raj 100 years ago. I don't know what 100 years next would look like, but what I want is my temples to sustain as they have for the last 5,000 years. But my heart breaks when what gets the attention of the media also, and the people also, and the observers also, and the advocates also, the free temple advocates, I mean, is, अरे beef है, ये मुद्दा है. कहीं मंदिरों की दीवारें गिर रही हैं, कोई बात नहीं. कहीं मंदिर दे गेट वॉश्ड अवे ड्यूरिंग नेचुरल कैलामिटीज, कोई बात नहीं. कहीं मंदिर में चोरी हो रही है, कोई बात नहीं. कहीं मूर्ति तोड़ी गई, कोई बात नहीं. किसी ने वहां रात को घुस के कुछ शैतानी करी, कोई बात नहीं. बीफ आ गया, अब तो मैं कमेंट्री करूंगा, अब तो हम आउटरीच करेंगे. नहीं यार, I mean, that's what I wrote, Kushal, that, and I mean no disrespect to anyone. I was like, this is the time for the advocates to stand up, present us with a model. That's what I wrote on my thread that I shared with you. Give us a model. Tell us lesser mortals who are probably not blessed with the gift of faith that what can be done better. Because the way I have read temples in ancient India, they were just not a place of devotion. They were a place of the community. If there was a temple in a village, that village was the definition of that community there. It was the nucleus, so as to speak. बाकी सब तो वो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स थे ना, उसके आसपास घूमते रहते थे, बदलते रहते थे, जुड़ते रहते थे. The temple was the nucleus. Are we today imagining temple as a nucleus of our faith or as a nucleus of our politics? This needs to be understood very, very clearly. And again, I have been very, very clear in all my tweets and all my articles. You need to free the temples. But how? That's the important part. How? How do you take everyone along in this modern India?
Yeah, and you know, this angle is also, so a member, a viewer has said this situation should be seen in the context of Jagan family's proselytization, appointment of non-Hindus to the board, and the website promoting other religions. This is a very valid point by Anish
Yes,
Joshi.
absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
should talk about it. How dare they allow other religions to be promoted? Will the mosque and church do it? How dare Jagan family do that? How dare they?
One, would they do it? No. Should they do it? Also no. We are a secular country, but secular country doesn't mean you infringe upon others' religion. It means every religion is to be treated as equal. So either you have non-Hindus in Hindu temple boards, and then you have non-XYZ community in other XYZ communities' place of worship. या तो वो करो, वो होगा नहीं. क्योंकि हमारा secularism भी ना जो skewed है ना, it is skewed against the Hindu community, and that is also what the people are chilled out about, as Anand had commented earlier down below. People are chilled about it. Kushal, again, we keep talking about this from the prism of different issues. Why is the outrage from people so selective? अच्छा, मतलब अगर कांग्रेस पे आउटरीच करेंगे तब करेंगे जब बात आ जाती है something as preposterous as wealth redistribution. They fail to see the other evils. Today it's about temples. They're outraging because it's beef. I'm saying, why not have some very intelligent conversations around this? Non-Hindus in a temple board, what business do they have? Do they understand that faith? I am a Hindu. I do not think I have been blessed enough with faith to be a member of any board, even if, 10, 20, 30 years from now, honorary or otherwise. So how are non-Hindus being appointed to boards by chief ministers, and the same chief ministers are being voted for by the same set of Hindus? Is this not a reflection of the Hindu society? Is this not a commentary on the Hindu population? Now I'll ask some difficult questions, Kushal. People will not like it. अभी ऐसा तो है नहीं जगन को हिंदू वोट नहीं करता है ना, कांग्रेस को हिंदू वोट करता है ना. वही कांग्रेस फिर भगवान राम का प्रूफ मांगती है, राम सेतु का प्रूफ मांगती है, रामायण को फिक्शन बताती है. वो भी हिंदू आप ही हैं, और आपको पता है आप कौन है. हिंदू वो भी है जो कास्ट लाइन पे बढ़ता है, फिर कहता है अरे मेरे मंदिर के साथ ये कैसे हो गया. हिंदू वो भी है जो जातिवाद में पड़ा रहता है, फिर कहता है मुझे राम मंदिर बनाने में 500 साल क्यों लग गए. हिंदू वो भी है जो कहता है अरे मेरे टेम्पल्स में एडल्ट्रेटेड लड्डू बन रहे हैं या बन सकते थे, या वहां पर गलत तरह का घी आ रहा है, फिर कहता है अरे मुझे कैसे पता नहीं चला.
I just cannot believe. And जो निंजा टेक्निक्स लोगों ने अपनाई है इसमें, कि इसमें भी बीजेपी को पेल दिया. भाई स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल कर रही थी सब कुछ, इसमें भी बीजेपी को पेल दिया. आजकल तो जो 6 degrees of separation भी नहीं है. निंजा टेक्निक्स ऑफ ब्लेमिंग बीजेपी फॉर एवरीथिंग इज नाउ द थिंग ऑन द इंटरनेट. अरे मैं बोल रहा हूँ, आई मीन क्या बोले यार, बीजेपी को गाली देनी है, इनफ है मटेरियल बीजेपी को गाली देने के लिए, मगर क्या कर रहे हैं यार लोग.
One of the underrated moments of the third term, Rahul Gandhi was addressing the parliament as the LOP. I think it was his first address, and he said, Hindu hinsak hai. He was, in his words, referring to the BJP. The Prime Minister got up there and then he said, if the Hindu society is going to be labeled like this, it is something for the Hindu society to introspect. And people say, don't blame the voter, don't blame the Hindu, don't blame, it's always the politicians' fault. I disagree after the 2024 results. A state that got Ram Mandir, unprecedented development, chose to vote on caste lines. The same caste lines that are sort of furthered by people who believe in the free temple movement. Somehow there is an alignment. I don't know how, but there is an alignment. So a lot is to be introspected by the Hindu community as well. Again, wahi narrow prism ki baat aati hai, Kushal. The politicians are temporary. They may be for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Beyond that, the party also reforms or ceases to exist, whatever. We don't know. The Hindu community is forever. You are on this planet for at least 75 years. God bless you with good health. All of you listening to this. Your children are going to be there for another 75 years. Their children are going to be there for another 75 years. So we're talking about an overlap of at least 150 years. No government is going to last that long. No party has lasted that long till now. तुम क्या कर रहे हो? तुम्हें तो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे अपने 500 रुपए की बिजली पानी चाहिए, तुम्हें जातिवाद चाहिए। तो दिल्ली में जब तुम पानी और बिजली को प्रायोरिटाइज करते हो, कहीं किसी जगह पर दंगा होता है, मंदिर तोड़ा जाता है, वो छोटा सा मंदिर होता है तो 2 दिन में तुम भूल जाते हो, पर टूटता तो तुम्हारा ही मंदिर है ना। तो तुम कब सोचना शुरू करोगे? और वही प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने कहा था पार्लियामेंट में, द हिंदू सोसाइटी हैज टू थिंक, हिंदू समाज को सोचना पड़ेगा। पर प्रॉब्लम आज फिर वही हुई, अगर आज हिंदू समाज का सोचने का वक्त आया कुछ खुद से, अपने आप से, और वो हम पर भी लागू होता है, आप पे और मेरे पे, वी वर सपोज्ड टू आस्क ourselves some tough questions. We are suddenly like, oh, it is the concurrent list. Why can't the government take over temples? Let's say you're agreeing. You're right. I'm agreeing with you. I'm giving you all the benefit of doubt in the world there is. The government frees its control from the Tirupati temple, which is, by the way, under another board. What happens the next day? Mind you, Kushal, the same people, when this government or the government was building the Kashi corridor, they were standing against it. There were some usual culprits on Twitter. I think there is one lady called Ritu Rathod. ठीक है, अरे काशी कॉरिडोर क्यों बना दिया, महाकाल में ऐसा काम क्यों कर दिया, उज्जैन में क्यों हो रहा है? कुशल, मुझे एक बात बताओ, should modernizing temples be considered a crime? And I'm asking this to the people also watching this, listening to this. Please reply. Aren't you happy looking at how Kashi corridor is being connected across India through Vande Bharat connections and whatnot? Aren't you happy at how the temple is being modernized in a corridor so that your kids tomorrow can go, their kids can go? Don't you care for the longevity of the temples? तो एक साइड तुम कहते हो सरकार टेम्पल मॉडर्नाइज ना करे, कॉरिडोर ना बनाए, दूसरी साइड तुम कहते हो सरकार मंदिर छोड़ भी दे, फिर हम देख लेंगे क्या होगा। क्या देखोगे बताओ? वही तो हम पूछ रहे हैं। I'm asking with all due respect, tell us the model you have. It's important. This is the time. यही समय है, सही समय, बताओ।
No, I'm going to keep taking questions from the live viewers. So somebody has asked why CBI inquiry has not been initiated. Bhai, it has been. The state government has already initiated the CBI inquiry. Follow up to karo na yaar news ko barabar. It has already been initiated. Now, this same person says it's not just all of us, but BJP, Modi, Shah were also taking this very lightly. Any other religion hota tha to sar tan se juda shuru ho jata tha. And I think that's a fair criticism. That's a fair criticism. अब मैं बोलता हूँ BJP भी तो एक हिंदू पार्टी है ना। अगर बीफ नहीं है, बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ता भी उतर सकते हैं और वो बोल सकते हैं हमारे मंदिरों में ये क्यों हो रहा है। That's a fair criticism. That this is something that I actually fair. I would say this is a fair.
You know, one defense of it could be NDA has got down in the form of Pawan Kalyan and Chandrababu Naidu. But yes, BJP should be down on the ground. But ये जो any other religion वाली बात कह रहे हो ना भाई, there is a reason we are not any other religion. I'm not asking for your tolerance. I'm saying there is always going to be the demarcation. ठीक है ना? The problem is उस demarcation में हम इतने दूर होते जा रहे हैं that we are forgetting our fundamental duties. This person asked about Modi Shah, not to discount his sentiment. Why does it have to be Modi Shah? Modi Shah gave you the Ram Mandir. I'll give you a very simple example, Kushal. Narendra Modi did every possible thing he could for Ayodhya, Purvanchal, entire state of UP in the last 10 years. Fair point? Not that he was doing them a favor. It was his duty as the Prime Minister, as the head of the government. But he did everything. What did the people choose at the opportune moment? They chose caste over development. They chose a faulting political party which is going to exploit their caste divisions over a party that built the Ram Mandir. So people who are quick to blame Modi Shah for everything under the sun, fine, I respect your sentiment also. Maybe you have higher expectations, I respect that. But भाई, उसने जब अपना काम किया सरकार में आने के बाद, जो वादा था 30, 35, 40 साल पुराना भाजपा का, और जो फाइट थी 500 साल पुरानी, उसको खत्म किया, उसको उसके अंजाम पर पहुंचाया, तब तुम साथ कौन सा खड़े हो गए? It's also a commentary on the Hindu society. Now, someone will say, oh no, but I voted for the BJP. I'm saying you did. But are you able, or is this decision influencing the Hindu society as it should in one of the biggest states of India? And UP has been, the cradle of Hindu civilization, one of the regions which has been the cradle of Hindu civilization. I also, ये counter question तो फिर होगा ना, पर कुछ एक चीज बताओ, I'm sorry I'm going on a tangent here. Is it possible, and it's a question, it's an open-ended question, is it possible Hindu society doesn't like to ask itself the tough questions and somehow like to push the blame towards the politicians, be it the Congress or the BJP? It's an open-ended question.
Partially true, partially wrong. I think we can say that while the Hindu society is in tamas on many issues, it is also that the BJP could up its game. I think both could be simultaneously true. But now, facts are very important when we discuss temple freedom as an issue.
Yeah.
Let's do a straw poll. और सालो cheating नहीं करना, Google नहीं करके आंसर देना. Vaishno Devi is one of the rare temples of northern India that is under government control. Government के control में है Vaishno Devi. Can anybody tell me when did Vaishno Devi come under government control? Come on. चीटिंग नहीं करना, गूगल किया तो पाप लगेगा तुमको वैष्णो देवी माता का. ईमानदारी से बताओ अगर पता है क्या वैष्णो देवी कब अंडर गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल आया. मेरे को मालूम है लोग बहुत चीटिंग करते हैं, ऐसा वो तो पता चले सब लोग ये करना शुरू कर देंगे, गूगल करेंगे, अरे भाई डेट तो पता करें कब लिया है, कब लिया है, कब लिया है, कब लिया है. 1986-87 में हुआ था लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, आप में से किसी को मालूम नहीं है. और मैं अभी आप लोगों को एक ब्लास्ट फ्रॉम द पास्ट शेयर करने वाला हूँ. यही फायदा होता है जब आप न्यूज़पेपर के पेड मेंबर होते हो ना, तो आपको आर्काइव्स मिलते हैं. और जब आपको आर्काइव्स मिलते हैं ना, तो आपको बहुत सारी पुरानी चीजें पढ़ने को मिलती हैं. और ये पेशे खिदमत है. इंडिया टुडे 1986 का आर्टिकल है, वैष्णो देवी टेम्पल टेक ओवर वाइडली वेलकम बाय पिलग्रिम्स एंड हिंदू ग्रुप्स. Contrary to the fears of a backlash following the takeover of the Vaishno Devi temple, the move has been widely welcomed by pilgrims and Hindu groups, not the least because it has been accompanied by a major facelift for the area around the temple. मित्रों, कृपा करके समझो कि समाज अलग-अलग होता है. और ये आर्टिकल पढ़ा है इंडिया टुडे में. आपको anybody who wants to read this article and has any problem trusting me, please you can email me at contact@kushalmehra.com. I will personally take out the PDF and send it to you. आप लोगों को पैसा खर्चा करने की जरूरत नहीं है. ये मेरा ईमेल आईडी है contact@kushalmehra.com. भेज देना ईमेल, मैं आपको फॉरवर्ड करूंगा ये आर्टिकल. पढ़ना ये आर्टिकल, प्लीज ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. ये इंद्रजीत बदवार ने आर्टिकल लिखा था 15 अक्टूबर 1986 को, एंड इट्स अ वेरी डिटेल्ड थिंग, एक्सप्लेनिंग क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम थे, क्या पहले हो रहा था, क्यों लोग नाराज थे, क्यों सरकार को टेक ओवर करना पड़ा और क्यों लोगों ने उसको वेलकम किया. अब ये एक आर्टिकल मैंने शेयर किया है. अब मैं आपको दूसरी चीज बताता हूं, ठीक है. पहले ये आर्टिकल था कर्नाटक में. बाय द वे, फॉर द रिकॉर्ड, कर्नाटक बीजेपी हैज बीन कंसिस्टेंटली फाइटिंग फॉर टेम्पल फ्रीडम. आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी पीपल नो दैट कर्नाटका बीजेपी हैज बीन कंसिस्टेंटली डिमांडिंग टेम्पल फ्रीडम. बट another blast from the past, from the recent past. This is an article that was published in the New Indian Express. Karnataka High Court hands back reins of Gokarna temple to the government. Court strikes down the controversial order issued by Yediyurappa-led BJP government in 2008 as illegal. So what does it say? This was updated on 11th August 2018. Publishing date इन्होंने नहीं लिखा है, मगर updated on 11th August 2018 है. So in a major development, the Karnataka High Court on Friday put an end to a decade-old dispute by quashing an order passed by the then B.S. Yediyurappa-led BJP government, handing over control to the Sri Mahabaleshwara temple at Gokarna in Uttara Kannada district to the Sri Ramachandrapuram Mutt in Hosanagara taluk of Shivamogga district. While the JDS and Congress had termed the handover as vote bank politics and unwarranted, the BJP government had justified it, saying that the temple had been under the control of one individual for 5 decades and had seen no development. However, the move had opened a Pandora's box, with others also staking claim to manage temples. The Mysore royal family had made a request to the government to hand over maintenance of 36 temples, including the Chamundeshwari temple atop Chamundi Hills, which were part of the erstwhile Mysore Maharaja's kingdom. The Tontadariya Pitha of Gadag too had sought control over the famous Siddhalingeshwara temple and Mutt premises in Yediur in Tumakuru district. Kaginele Center in Haveri district is also sought by a Kuruba community mutt. While quashing the government's order dated August 12, 2008, a division bench of Justice B.V. Ragaratna and Arvind Kumar ordered that the temple continue to be listed among the notified temples under the Mudalai department. The court has ordered constitution of an oversight committee headed by the deputy commissioner to look after the temple affairs. However, it is said that the arrangement of constituting the committee will come into effect from September 10th. The bench was hearing a batch of pleas, including Sri Samsthana Mahabaleshwara Devaru Trust of Karwar and others, challenging the validity of the government order. And this is the history. August 12, 2008, Yedurappa does what he does. August 14th, Ramachandra Puramat take over the temple. September 2008, Balachandra Dikshit, one of the trustees, files a writ petition in High Court. October 2016, Siddaramaiah government proposes appointing an administrator to the temple, but it was opposed by many communities. November 2016, Gokarna Temples gets its ISO 9001 and 2008 certification. Now try and understand, this is a classic case of a टाइटल सूट. समाज को वापस दिया, टेंपल वापस दिया, समाज में से 500 लोग खड़े हो गए, ये मेरा है, ये मेरा है, ये मेरा है, ये मेरा है, ये मेरा है. कोर्ट में केस गया, कोर्ट ने बोला तुम्हारे डॉक्यूमेंट फ्रॉडुलेंट है जिसके बेस पे तुमने क्लेम किया अपेरेंटली, अलेजेडली, और वापस गया सरकार को टेंपल. ये एक एग्जांपल है लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, ये एक एग्जांपल है. वेट, नाउ दिस वाज अनदर थिंग दैट बीजेपी हैज बीन अलेजिंग कि ये हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, ऐसे हो रहा है, वैसे हो रहा है, और दूसरी साइड ने ये किया है. नाउ दिस इज रिपोर्टेड ऑन द टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया, February 26, 2024. Karnataka priests say temple funds not being misused. Dismissing the BJP allegations, an association of temple priests in Karnataka on Sunday said funds collected by A, B, and C category temples through offering boxes were not being misused by the state government. The Karnataka Religious Institutions and Charitable Endowments Amendment Bill 2024 was defeated in the Legislative Council 2 days ago. At a press meet, the press association said government is using the fund to develop C-grade temples and for the welfare of over 40,000 priests of Hindu temples across the state. People have misunderstood the bill and are quote spreading false information that fund collected in Hindu temples will be diverted to other prayer halls, said KNS Dikshit, Secretary Akhila Karnataka Hindu Devalaya Gala Archakara Agamikara Upadhivanthara Ukkuta. Not a single paisa will be diverted to others. Priests do not have a culture of hitting the streets in protest and creating trouble. So we have decided to meet the BJP functionaries and request them to pass the bill in council for the welfare of the priests in the temples, he said. The bill passed in the assembly rejigged an existing matrix to increase taxes on temples that earned more than 1 crore. It reduced the burden on those earned between 10 lakhs and 1 crore. The funds were to go to a common pool for upkeep for priests of grade C temples. The BJP said the government was dipping its hands into the till and aiming to divert funds to other religious institutions. अभी मेरे को एक बात बताओ, अभी बीजेपी फाइट कर रही है मंदिरों के लिए और मंदिर वाले बोल रहे हैं कि भाई ऐसा है ही नहीं. अब मैं किसको मानूं, किसको? अभी ये मेरा क्वेश्चन है टेंपल फ्रीडम के विषय पे. फॉर द रिकॉर्ड, I am for temple freedom, but my definition of temple freedom is the freedom to remain within the government, as some temples did in this case in Karnataka, and the freedom to leave the government, as many temples want to do. That is true freedom. But what the free temples activists are trying to present is, no matter what the case, freedom means only leaving the government. भाई तुम कौन होते हो डिसाइड करने वाले? अब ये टेम्पल्स थे, इनको नहीं जाना था गवर्नमेंट के बाद, ये नहीं गए, इनको नहीं जाना था. मैंने आपको दिखाया है वैष्णो देवी में लोग खुश हो गए 1980s में. फ्रीडम इज अबाउट चॉइस. चॉइस कैन बी टू रिमेन इन एंड गो आउट. नाउ आई विल हैंड इट ओवर टू तुषार.
You bring up Vaishno Devi मंदिर, माता वैष्णो देवी मंदिर in कटरा. आज अगर कोई कटरा गया है, the kind of economy that town has, you know, जो पूरा वहां काम हुआ, पीछे वहां पर बारिशों में हल्का सा लैंडस्लाइड हो गया था एक रास्ते पे. They repaired it within a week. Can we have the same level of efficiency from community managed temples? I'm not mocking them. I'm saying yes or no. These are the questions you'll have to start thinking about. Number 2, बहुत बार बात होती है कास्ट की, कस्टम्स की, फैमिलीज जहां से प्रीस्ट आने चाहिए, एंड one of our mutual friends has very strong views about it, for which he often gets very abused on Twitter, a friend from Mumbai. But I agree with him. In today's world, are you saying a temple, big or small, local or national, big footfall, small footfall, I don't care, can it bypass the constitution when it comes to customs or priest, or who are the people who can be priests? Number 2, it's a question, I'm not giving any conclusion here. Number 3, a community manages it. What is their model of governance? Is it going to be like the Somnath temple, where the temple board members are members for life? Okay. On what basis will they be selected or elevated? If they are not going to be members of life, what is their tenure going to be? Who's going to be the regulatory body for the elections? Bahut jagah na, or even in Swarajya, when a lot of people used to write about this very, very passionately, and I respect all these people, they used to say that there needs to be a regulatory board which is run by Hindu saints and priests or things like that, so that they can be the final authority when it comes to resolving these disputes. So my question is, aren't you just creating more layers when it comes to the governance model? Because legal disputes are imminent. Fine. So how do you respond to that? अगर आपने कम्युनिटी मैनेजमेंट के बाद एक केस के बाद कोर्ट में ही जाना है, फिर भैया सरकारी कंट्रोल और आपके कंट्रोल में फर्क क्या है? Number 4, there are temples which are not generating a lot of revenue, unfortunately, for whatever reasons, not even enough money for their priests. Can the community chip in their support? ये कहना आसान है, करना बहुत मुश्किल है. ये लगता है हमें आसान है. मैं कहता हूं अगर हो सकता है बताओ कैसे. There are people who say there are plenty of examples. I'm saying fine, but can one person or a group of people speak for 40,000 or 4 lakh temples? Can they speak for all the temples in their state? Number 5, the state today faces another challenge where the temple lands are being encroached upon several other places of worship. In South, there is always this notion about the church encroaching upon the temple land, which has also been proven in a lot of cases. It has been reported widely. Can the community deal with it? Will the community negotiate? If not, why? If not, how? We don't know. Right? So, Kushal, problem yahi aa jati hai. I keep hearing this. Free temples, checks and balances kya? Mujhe nahi pata. Quality management kya? Hame nahi pata. Regulatory management kya? Hame nahi pata. But when you ask these people, okay, come up with a practical solution, let's discuss it. I'm not saying to mock them or to ridicule them. Let's discuss it. Let's push the government. Perhaps some powerful people can lobby the government that this can be a part of the bill. Like Anand today, Anand Ranganathan had tweeted this wonderful idea that don't test the laddus, test the ghee that goes into the making of the laddu.
Brilliant suggestion by Anand. Brilliant suggestion by Anand.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of having a scientist commenting on it, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So shout out to Anand there. And he came, and Pavan Kalyan, who's the deputy chief minister of Andhra Pradesh, acknowledged it. So probably can the community think about more testing equipment, which the TDD said they will shot at? Can the community come up with inclusive model? I know people hate this word, but I'm saying if you're going to bypass the constitution, how does that really work? Checks and balances के लिए अगर तुम्हें एक ऊपर body चाहिए, फिर मतलब again, I would want Kushal ideally is a model. 10 models, 15 models, 20 models, because I understand there has to be a decentralized model when it comes to community management of temples. The way a temple is being governed in a remote corner of Himachal Pradesh won't be the same as it is in a remote corner of Madhya Pradesh. The customs are different, the traditions are different. Says Sabrimala is not as same as Mata Vaishno Devi Mandir. Simple, right? I think we all can agree with this. But can we all agree on this fact that the major principles will be the same? Gravity is same. Gravity as a concept is same on the planet Mars, planet Earth, Moon. The value changes. So can we come up with some foundational principles that, okay, it won't bypass the constitution. If it has to bypass the constitution, it won't differentiate between people on caste. I'm asking these questions. We all are learners in this process. It's not the last conversation we are having on this. But I never get answers to all these questions. That's the problem.
I want to share a few inputs here. My experience of not this current Bhajap Sarkar, the one previous to this, before Uddhav's Mahavikas Aghadi, at that time there was something called the Tirtha Kshetra Fund. Basically, that Tirtha Kshetra Fund of the government, what it used to do is it used to focus specifically on small temples in Maharashtra. There is a Tirtha Kshetra in Maharashtra, right? The pilgrimage center where people go to different
They call
centers
it the
in
religious
Maharashtra.
circuits. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tirtha Kshetra Fund, and the BJP government, whenever it comes in power, it increases the fund allocation for the Tirtha Kshetra Fund. And as understood, when the Congress and NCP in Maharashtra, they come to power, they reduce the funds for the Tirtha Kshetra Fund. That is the nature of the game. My problem is that I feel big temples are now mature enough, capable enough to be free from government control. I sincerely believe that. बड़े मंदिरों को अभी सरकार से निकाल देना चाहिए. I think तिरुपति और ये सब temples को सरकार की आवश्यकता नहीं है. But at the same time, my biggest fear is the backbone of Hinduism is not the big temple. The backbone of Hinduism is that गांव का छोटा मंदिर. अगर हमने उनको abandon कर दिया. Sure.
एक क्वेश्चन है. अभी आपने कहा बड़े मंदिर सरकारी उससे छूट सकते हैं. पर हम because there will be a lot of to and fro. There is the example of Mata Vaishno Devi Mandir that we just gave. Why it had to go under government control? Because there were widespread news about corruption there. Big temple, Kushal, will also mean a lot of money involved, gold involved. लोगों की आस्था है भाई. उसका regulatory checks and balances का model तो कोई दे. I'm saying listen to Kushal. The advocates should listen to Kushal. The big temples should be freed from government control once and for all. Perhaps there can be a category of temples defined by size, by their footfall, by their area covered, whatever, by their age, whatever. I'm saying come up with an economic model for them. वो भी नहीं होता. Sorry.
If we have small temples taking the help of the government, once again, if you care for Hindu society, you may disagree with me. You may say big temples will fund small temples. I genuinely believe that is not going to be the case, because the level of apathy in the Hindu Samaj that has been exposed, that it took beef to outrage, not adulteration to outrage, is proof of concept that Hindus are incapable. I want my small temples to be protected by the Sarkar. I don't give a shit. I, as a Hindu taxpayer of my country, I don't mind my taxes going to small temple protection. Free big temples first. Let us see a proof of concept. Small temples को रहने दो गवर्नमेंट के अंदर. धीरे धीरे करके जब proof of concept आएगा in the next 10-15 years, then maybe we can consider mid-sized temples, then maybe the smallest temples. The backbone of dharma is the chota gaon ka mandir.
I'll tell you, my college used to be in Himachal, on the Himachal-Punjab border, where I studied engineering. Not a famous one, just a normal private institute. And हम जाते थे ना, we used to pass through a village while going, and it was a 3-kilometer stretch. In that 3-kilometer stretch, we used to witness at least 10 temples, some as small as probably a cabin, an office cubicle. बट वहां एक अच्छे से मूर्ति सजा रखी होती थी, माता जी की चुन्नी होती थी, टीका होता था, कुछ मिठाई रखी होती थी, और गांव वाले आके उसका ध्यान रखते थे. अब ऐसे टेम्पल के लिए कम्युनिटी मैनेजमेंट इज अ स्टेलर एग्जांपल. बट वहां भी तो एक प्रीस्ट है, वहां भी तो एक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एक्सपेंशन की एस्पिरेशन है. So it's important that the big temples, either they can come under temple boards, which are, again, someone will have to regulate. Either the Hindu society gets to a point where they don't require any government regulation, and I pray for it. I pray for that consciousness to come, that awakening to come, where the Hindu society tells the state, you don't tell us how we run our faith. That's the ideal goal we should all be chasing. You and I, as much as we might disagree with these advocates, we all are chasing the same goal.
Yeah, we want temples to be freed, but we want temples to be saved.
I don't want a community which is managing a small temple to quickly give it up to a builder in lieu of some money. ये भी होगा, ऐसा भी हो सकता है. लोग करने वाले सब कुछ करते हैं भाई, सीधी सी बात है. So my question is, if the big temples can manage it, and that also will require an economic model, a balance and check model, we don't have that. A small temple will require an expansion model. You wouldn't want your temple to be the size of cubicle always. It should be like a palace 10, 20, a generation later, right? How does that work? And that is why we need to have these conversations again and again. You don't want your temple to go back to the community just for it to come under 10 different regulatory models. कि state government का एक है, economic department का एक है, finance का एक है, ठीक है, एक home के पास है on law and order. तुम्हें वो bureaucracy में नहीं अपने temples को फंसाना. And then as a community it will become very difficult to manage. So that is why, again, I'm asking people for models. I haven't been able to think of an economic model. Ideally, the funds temple is generating should be spent on the community or the upkeep of the temple, things like that, obvious things, right? But why is this not coming in the form of a draft? There are smart people who are talking about this. Why aren't they coming up with something more than अरे मोदी ने कुछ नहीं किया, अरे मोदी की गलती है? भैया तुम्हें लगता है तो बिल बनाओ ना.
I think a working concept that can be considered right now is how the Shri Ram Janmabhoomi Trust has been managed now.
Yeah.
It has got beautiful representations from different samajik sampradayas and jatis, and with a very minimal government oversight. And Ram Janmabhoomi is going to be running into as freely as it can, with some government requirements here and there. I think that is a model that a lot of large temples in India can follow. Now, Rahul Kaushik had written this tweet. I want to read this in totality. So, give me some time, ladies and gentlemen. Thoda lamba tweet hai Rahul Kaushik ka. He has given some suggestions which I came across. The question of whether mandir should be under government control or managed by private institutions, family or hereditary lineages is complex and requires a detailed examinations of key factors. While I believe the government should not directly manage mandirs, we must understand the historical and social reasons that allegedly led to government intervention in the first place. Government involvement in mandirs was not just about controlling revenue. There were instances of mismanagement, unfair practices, and misuse of funds, which led to the government stepping in to ensure fair management in the broader interest of Hindu society. Why do you think I gave you the example of Vaishno Devi, ladies and gentlemen? That was some similar case. Historically, mandirs were part of the state apparatus supported by kings through grants and donations, in exchange for which they provided religious and social services, making them integral to the socio-political structure. In southern India, where this issue is often raised, mandir control has been long linked to concerns of equality and governance. Some mandirs were traditionally governed by specific families or castes, which allegedly led to exclusionary practices and corruption, giving the government a pretext for intervention. On the other hand, misuse of mandir funds by the government for non-religious purposes is a long-standing issue. Mandir donations being diverted for secular or political use has been a concern for decades. Even smaller neighborhood mandirs managed by local organizations often face internal conflicts and accusations of corruption. Privately managed mandirs, such as those of Swaminarayan Sampradaya or Jhandewala Mandir in Delhi, offer examples of efficient administration. In contrast, the Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine was once controlled by private priests, was taken over by the government in 80s due to public outcry over poor infrastructure and corruption. Since then, family facilities have improved significantly. Tirupati, another government-controlled mandir, also runs efficiently, especially in terms of crowd management and pilgrim services, though recent issues like the Tirupati Laddu Controversy highlight the need for strict action. Some mandirs like Shri Banke Bihari Mandir in Vrindavan continue to face severe challenges, including overcrowding and stampedes, despite their substantial revenue. Poor management has led to tragic incidents, reminding us that simply transferring mandirs to private control does not guarantee better governance. Both public and private institutions can be affected by human greed and admin failures. Another important issue is caste. While some argue that freeing mandirs from government control would lead to more equitable management and prevent caste-based discrimination, others may seek to maintain control within certain caste groups. Sanatan Parampara, while adhering to the Shastras and Agamas, has always embraced dialogue and evolution through introspection. A critical question often overlooked in this debate is who will manage temples if the government steps away? Where will there be an elected body like the SGPC elected by 100 crore Hindus? Or will an institution like the Catholic Church oversee all? Who will handle revenues and ensure that current facilities and services continue? The Hindu Dharmacharya Sabha, led by Pujya Avdeshanand Ji, has been discussing this issue with dharmacharyas and intellectuals. A carefully designed governance structure is essential before moving forward with a concrete proposal. There are some existing models to consider. The Somnath Trust operates as a private trust with government support when needed. The Ayodhya Mandir is 100% private but has ex officio government members without voting rights, ensuring independent management. These examples show that mandirs can be managed effectively without direct government control while maintaining transparency and inclusiveness. As an open and evolving society, we should engage in thoughtful discussions in considering the Shastras, Agamas, and society's evolving needs to create a governance framework that serves the Hindu community as a whole. I'm going to retweet this now. I was waiting to retweet it when the live stream happens. I think this is a very mature and common sense observation by Rahul there.
Absolutely. See, one thing people who sort of align caste with the free temple movement do not realize, they do that. And in doing that, let's say their dream comes true. And I keep emphasizing temples need to be free, no doubts about that. But in case their dream come true, the Congress is going to play their idea of temple governance as a battleground for their politics, their caste politics. जो आदमी ये पूछ सकता है कि मिस इंडिया कितने दलित जीते हैं, तो मैं लगता है वो ये नहीं पूछेगा कितने मंदिर कितने दलितों के पास है. That is why when I wrote my thread, I said whatever model anyone comes up with, irrespective of their political ideology, irrespective of their like or dislike for the current prime minister, can they promise an inclusive a Hindu temple model, not यहाँ का temple model, वहाँ का temple model. हाँ, आप state government से free कर रहे हो अपने temple को, given, but you are preparing a model which will be for the entire Hindu population anywhere across the globe. Can you do that? No answers. And I'm not saying the people should not question, have these conversations, but come up with some models. I think what Rahul is saying is essentially the same thing, that it has to be an inclusive model. What our mutual friend from Mumbai says is also the same thing. It has to be an inclusive model. But somehow these people get a lot of flack. For what reason?
Yeah. I don't know why. I have never understood this why. I think it's a very important question that has to be raised. My answer to all these issues traditionally has been very libertarian. I believe even if there is casteism, that mandir will just perish at the end of the day, because Hindu society has moved on from caste discrimination, and also there are anti-discriminatory laws on the books that if a temple does discrimination, there are untouchability laws already enshrined in the constitution, and they can be used against those people. But having said that, I think the biggest problem the temple freedom movement right now, at least on social media, has is that the people championing it are actually one of the most non-credible people. I'm going to say it openly. Those people lack credibility. They have a record of being castists. And if you genuinely love temple freedom, which even I do, I think maybe you need a better leadership. And I'm not that leader. Put me out of it. I'm not that leader. When you say temple should be free, I'll sign the paper. Yes, that's all. The leadership.
I'll sign. You ask me to sign 1,000,000 times, I'll say yes. Congress government, BJP government, third front, fourth front, uska front, iska front. You ask me when I'm 8, I'll say yes. You ask me when I'm 80, I'll say yes. Free the temples. But give us a model to deliberate on. Give us a model to hold someone accountable. एक चीज बताऊं, people should understand temples are surviving for centuries because the Hindu civilization has survived.
Yeah.
Today, the existence of Hindu civilization is a big question mark given the factors around us. And people still choose to divide themselves on caste lines. That's my worry. Look, you can be a Brahmin, you can be an OBC, you can be an SC, you can be an ST, you can be a general, you can be a pro-Ambedkarite, you can be a Congressy, you can be an AAP, you can be a RJD, you can be anything. If the civilization goes, you all go.
Yeah.
So if you cannot unite behind your temples, big or small, village or city, new or old, I don't care. The civilization goes, you all go. The people who will come for your temples, they won't ask you, अरे तू कांग्रेस वोट करता था, अच्छा sorry यार, sorry, मैं अगले पे जाता, नहीं होगा ऐसा. That is why I'm saying the Hindu society needs a uniting cause. What pains me personally, and this is my personal opinion, is how the same society responded to the 500 years wait, which ended on January 22nd, 2024. अयोध्या से एक एमपी खड़ा होता है, वो खुद को उसकी मतलब फॉर द लैक ऑफ अ बेटर वर्ड ये हैसियत कैसे हुई कि वो बोले मैं अयोध्या का राजा हूं? मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम राम को अपने समान रखने की उसमें हिम्मत कैसे है? वो हिम्मत भी उसे हिंदू समाज नहीं दी है। ये मुझे पेन करता है कुशल. दिस इज व्हाट पेन्स मी. I am saying the community must manage their temples. Is the community ready? Is the community ready to say my temple first, my religion first, my caste aside, my personal grudges aside? फ्री बिजली पानी छोड़कर ये अपने टेम्पल पे 500 रुपए ज्यादा खर्चेंगे? ये सवाल है और एक मुश्किल सवाल है और ये किसी पे टिप्पणी नहीं है, ये समाज पे टिप्पणी और समाज का हिस्सा मैं भी हूं, आप भी हैं और जो सुन रहे हैं वो भी हैं. बस यही है.
चलो अभी क्वेश्चंस लेते हैं and then we'll wrap it
हाँ.
up.
Yes.
Okay. Why is there no street protest from our side? We keep discussing it, but do not put pressure through protests. Oh my God, I don't know, man. That's a question you need to
भाई, मैं
ask
तो कहता
every
हूँ.
Hindu.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every Hindu. Do you think temples should be sponsored by FMCG brands like ITC or HUL to maintain quality of food? No, I don't agree. I think temples are rich enough to manage their own thing.
हाँ, अभी किसी ने अच्छा आइडिया दिया था कि why can't the temple board have cows? एक गौशाला बनाओ ना, 500 5000 जितनी गौ माता आप रख सकते हैं आप रखिए, वहां पर पालन पोषण कीजिए, उनका ध्यान कर्म करिए. Someone had suggested this. So exactly, this is a good question in the sense it pushes us to talk about temples, imagining them beyond just being places of devotion, being a place for the community to unite when it comes to taking care of cows, when it comes to taking care of kids who are probably without parents or without the economic means. That is what was my original point. How are you imagining your temple for the next 2, 3, 4, 20 centuries? That's a very good question from Amit.
So this comment says Hindus care more about their jati, caste than their religion. Well,
यही तो रोना है मेरे भाई.
Somebody has suggested every relatively big temple should maintain goshalas to get all milk-based products. This serves both goraksha and food purity. Hindus should perform some amount of anushthan. Well, I think many temples do have their goshalas. I think ISKCON,
but they can always expand.
Yeah, ISKCON I think has a lot of those things. Government has to create an indie temple constitution so that rules are set and followed, and as a corporate entity, government should hold on. Yeah, I don't agree. I don't think so. That's doable.
फिर फर्क क्या है? अपनी पहले सरकार के ऑर्डर्स पे चल रहे थे, अब सरकार के कानून पे चलोगे तो फ्रीडम नहीं हुआ ना वो. वही बात आ जाती है. हिंदू सोसाइटी हैज टू इवॉल्व. डोंट वेट फॉर द गवर्नमेंट टू इवॉल्व.
Somebody has asked, how do you ensure the Chota temples are not intruded in their sampradaya? I don't understand what. Okay, the question explains. Like a small village, Bhutakula sampradaya, they don't even have a physical temple, but there is an ancient tradition requiring protection. Well, that can only be protected by the people of that community. The government can't do anything for that. Yeah, I mean, those things are beyond government control. Okay, Arun, the next question is, the lab report, as far as I read and understood, merely states the ghee used to make laddus contains animal oil. Since the ghee is made from cow milk, isn't that too animal oil fat? Please correct me if I am wrong. And the next one is, since past more than 5 years, more than 45-year-old plus temples have been destroyed. A lot of artifacts, stolen artifacts broken down by Tamil Nadu. That there was not much noise, but now this with so much attention. Well, I mean, politicians have used it. But a journalist, the right-wing hates a lot, has also asked a lot of questions on this Tirupati temple Rao, is Rohini Singh. I even have picked up her questions. Were laddus made with the allegedly adulterated ghee and served as prasad? If not, then why did you make such an outrageous claim? Is it true that every 6 months the Tirupati Trust calls for tenders for ghee? Is it true that ghee supplied to the temple is checked for quality before it is used, and that tankers have been rejected many times in the past, including the previous TDP regime, because the ghee didn't meet quality standards? Is it true that those who quote the lowest price in the tender are selected only after approval of the trust board. Is it true that the trust board that manages the temple is independent and comprises of devotees from different states based on recommendations of various CMs and others? The trust also includes those with affiliations to the BJP. So why lash out at your political rival alone? If the adulterated ghee was not used to make the prasad, as has been reported by news channels now, then Mr. Naidu needs to apologize to the millions of devotees for hurting their sentiments. Obviously, she is playing her politics too, but I thought it is only fair that I even share her point of view.
I would still, I would want the truth to come out, Kushal, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
I would want people to go to their nearby temples. I remember when I was very small, I was barely 3 or 4 years old. I used to go to a temple, and the place where the prasadam was being sold, this was in Chandigarh. उसके पास एक गार्बेज बिन होता था, मतलब ऐसे ना 10-12 फुट दूर. मुझे वो परेशान करता था. Why it should be there? Because as young, you're taught, about being very clean with the prasadam around temple. So I want people to go to the nearby temples, just see what kind of maintenance is happening. Be angry about it. If it's not being maintained, be angry. No temple is less important or more important. They're all important. They can be the size of a small cubicle जिस पे बच्चे सुबह कॉलेज जाते हुए हाथ जोड़ते जैसे हम जोड़ते थे जब मैं कॉलेज में था. Or they can be as big as Tirupati or Shri Mata Vaishno Devi Mandir. ठीक है? But be angry.
Yeah, I think the point is that today's podcast, the aim was, to share all kinds of questions and points of view. And I hope people, when you are done listening to this, you have heard Tushar's views, you have heard my views, you have heard the views of other people. I hope by the time you guys are done, because we are wrapping up now, you ask yourself some important questions. What does temple freedom mean? What does choice mean? Does choice mean only leaving the government, or choice means staying in the government? I keep asking this question to many people. Why? Yeah, go ahead.
We all are chasing the same goal. All of us. Free the temples. What you need to ask yourself is, if a temple is indeed freed, can you give up your caste politics and caste identity for a greater Hindu identity? Kushal and I are chasing the same goal as the other advocates are, with no disrespect to anyone. Just that me and Kushal are being extra precautionary, because for us, looking at temple freedom from the prism of politics or the current government is incorrect. We are looking at temple freedom from the prism of our civilization.
And our society.
Our temples were free before the government came in 1947. Our temples were free. They were free when Mughal barbarians were at our doorstep. Islamic barbarians or people like Muhammad Ghazni, or Taimur and Nadir Shah were at our doorstep. They were still free. So we are not talking about the next 20 years. We are not talking about the reign of potentially some other prime minister. We are not. We are talking about the next 1,000 years. We're talking about the next 5,000. That is where our prism is. That is where, for us, a vacant Hindu community is so important, both at a micro level, at a village level, and at the national level. That's all. That's my final comment.
Yeah. So think about all these things that we have shared in this podcast today. I think the biggest impediment, and again, these are my views, not Tushar's, the biggest impediment to temple freedom are actually some of the people who are advocating for it. Their track record is very dicey. Hindu Samaj today is 70% what we call SC, ST, OBC. If without the SC, ST, OBC Samaj, we don't have any Hindu temple. And if we cannot consider their legitimate fears because of the commentary made by some people on social media, I think it's unfair. All of us want temples to be free. It's just that some of us are looking at it from different ways. And you have to consider those concerns. I think the Ram Mandir model is a model that we can consider. And it's a great moment for Hindus of all jatis. How we came together for the Ram Mandir. The quintessential moment of the Ram Mandir was the 1992 interviews where those Karsevak said, "Koi jaat nahi, sirf Hindu." That was one of those rare occasions when the Hindu Samaj got over their jaat and fought for Sri Ram. If we want our temples to be free, that is the attitude we need. Some of the people promoting it do not have that attitude. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't change the facts of the case. And maybe they are the biggest impediment in this battle for temple freedom. Maybe where the powers that be look at the people promoting it and demanding it, the powers that be, maybe they get scared. Maybe they think, what if these people take us back by 100 years? Because Hindutva took a lot of time to get over this Jati Varna disease in our society. So consider all these things. Consider all these facts. That's all I will say. We'll wrap up today's discussion. If you want to follow Tushar, his X handle is there in the description of the podcast. And as far as this podcast is concerned, this podcast is purely a member-driven podcast. So if you can, do join the membership program. It doesn't matter if you support me on Patreon or on YouTube. You can join anywhere. You can also buy Cārvāka podcast merchandise on kushalmehra.com and on Kadak Merch. You can send your donations in India through UPI at kushalmehra at ICICI, in Canada to kushalmehra81@gmail.com through Interact. If you can't do anything else, just like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in the comment section. If you are an audio listener, leave a rating on the audio platform. See you next time. Take care. Jai Shri Ram.